Hello and welcome to our every Saturday evening issues of Period Global School. And today we are going to deal with checking IELTS essay live. So to start with, I would like to say that lots of students only require a band 6 or 6.5 in their IELTS test. And we get lots of questions every week about what a band 6 essay looks like and what is required to get a 6. We recently marked a band 6 essay for one of our students, and you can read it below, you can look at it. We included the original essay below, and you can see some regional corrections. So this student was able to get the band 6, the band 7, they required after following the advice below. So the topic which the student got was the following. Some people think that teenage years are the happiest times of most people's lives. Others think that adult life brings more happiness in spite of greater responsibilities. Discuss both these views and give your own opinion, and the students have to write at least 250 words. So we see that there are two statements, and we need to deal with discussion essay and giving your opinion. So let's take a look at this essay. This is just the first part of it. So firstly, it's the introduction. Let's look at it more closely. So some argue that people's lives are happiest when we are teenagers, while others believe that adulthood brings more happiness, although there are greater responsibilities. So let's look at this sentence more closely. So people's lives, we have corrected it adding the apostrophe as long as it's the possessive case. Lives, plural noun, that's why we need to put here the verb be in plural. It's that not is but are. During teen period sounds a little bit like in Russian maybe, but it's better to change it, to paraphrase it using some more words when we are teenagers. The adulthood, so it's better to use this word adulthood without article as long as this a general noun. Responsibilities, so this word responsibilities should coincide, should cohere with the verb are, which is also in plural. That's why the noun should be in plural. People's life, again the apostrophe as long as it's the possessive case, and lives, we decided to add the noun lives here as long as it's not clear people's what life matters or what else, are happier than adults. So here we use a comparison of adjective happier, not the happiest, because the happiest is a superlative adjective, and we have comparison than, so happier than something, than adults. So in general, you have paraphrased the question, so which is good, but you should try not to make mistakes with synonyms. If you're not sure about a synonym, just don't use it. You have given a clear opinion, so well done. You could also write an outline statement stating the main points your essay will discuss. So you have to look at our introduction guide just a little bit later. So the second paragraph, the first one paragraph after the introduction, which comes, first of all, from economic point of view, teenagers are not aware about the condition that exists in daily life. So we corrected the word economical, choosing the better adjective economic point of view. Conditions, it's plural, that's why it's better to use the verb exist without s, as it's plural. In daily life, the expression daily life is also a little bit general, so it's better to use it without the article. For instance, most teens do not know the facts that affect the economy, such as oil prices. The words in the world is not really appropriate, and are you sure that the prices in the world are really different? The economy in general, it's not only about country, but economy like a general noun. Secondly, although it is very common that young people do some jobs in present times, most teenagers do not have financial responsibilities like rent or housing costs, owing to their parents paying for these costs. So first, let's look at some grammatical mistakes. So people is used without s, as people, it's already in plural. Responsibilities like rent. So rent, it's a noun, and in this context, in this meaning, so we don't need to use s, ending s. Owing to their parents afford these costs. So why should they afford them? They pay for them, so paying for these costs. So in terms of this first paragraph, you have made a clear point and explained it well with reference to the question. But you could make more example, more specific example. So a little bit later, we'll have kind of a guide, advice on how to do this. Another good reason to state that teenage years are the best time in our lives is that during school, young students are focused mainly on the academics environment. Yeah. So it's better actually to just to cross out this word environment as long as we don't need it. Another good reason to say that teenage years, it's not teenager years, as long as teenager, it's a noun, it's not an adjective. Teenage years are the best time in people's life. We decided to cross out people's because it's a kind of a word which is repeated several times during the passage before this. So in our lives, during school, it's all clear that it's a period, so it's a time of in life of every student. So during school, young students are focused mainly to be focused on something, on academics. So it's not environment, it's just academics, like studying different subjects and so on. Consequently, teens live their life in a happy scenario in which the connected activities like sporting endeavors, music festivals, and even scientific competitions represent the daily duties. So in terms of these sentences, so sporting endeavors or sporting competitions, it sounds much better than sportive championships. We decided just to change this expression to some more formal, more academic. And one more correction, that young people deal with, duties that young people deal with. It's clear that duties, it's actually what you have to deal with. But here we need some more explanation. So you have to explain your point. You have explained it, but you need to give a specific example. What exactly duties do they have to do, young people? Okay, let's take a look at the next part. It's actually it's the next one, the next paragraph. So from social perspective, teenagers do not fear social concepts or discrimination. So finally so it's not actually correct to use here finally from social perspective. It's like putting the butter on your piece of bread, on your toast, for both sides. So it's better not to overload with your linking words. Just leave only one. From a social perspective, teenagers do not fear something, so fear social concepts or discrimination. As a result, they live freely in whatever way they want. Let me see. So they live as they consider. So this expression sounds really uncertain, I would say. So it's better to leave it out. For example, most teens great job. So for example, given the example here, for example, most teens are involved in sports activities and volunteer organizations as well. So it's not voluntary organizations, but try to leave the adjective in singular and the noun organizations in plural. Those relationships are undoubtedly very common among young people rather than adults. So you'd better change here the word order, as long as the first variant sounds really grammatically incorrect, unfortunately. So this is like another paragraph about how teenagers are happy, but you have already discussed this in the two previous chapters. So So it would be much better if you use this chapter to discuss why adults are as happy as teenagers. The question asks you to discuss both views, so you should do this. You should discuss both views. And the next one is conclusion. In conclusion, teenage years are the happiest for most people due to activities they normally do. So not teenagers years, but teenage years, like adjective. They are not worried about current affairs, so like markets or political situations. So here there is one more mistake. They are not worried, not they are, but they are not worried. It's about teenagers. They are not worried. It's like adjective about current affairs like markets or political situations. The next sentence we decided to cross out, and I will explain why. So in addition, the school times are very important. You repeat yourself like in the teens year ages. It's the same as it was mentioned in the first sentence, because the positive influence that it has in Jan's life. So in Jan's life, yeah, right. So you have restated your opinion. It's well done. So it's what you have to do in conclusion. You have summarized your main points well, but it's better not to include any new information in conclusion, like in the example which you crossed out, social gossip. So we haven't talked about it before. There is no need to do it in conclusion. So never add new information in conclusion of your essay. So as for task response, whether this essay was written for band 6 or not, so you address all parts of the task and cover both arguments. However, the question asks you to discuss both views, and you spend much more time. You saw that like 3 paragraphs saying why children were happy and not adults. You presented a clear position throughout the response. It was very good to see that you gave a clear thesis statement in your introduction and then used the rest of the essay to support this view. You present, extend, and support main ideas, but there was a tendency to overgeneralize at times. So our suggestions would be for discussion, discuss both views. It's important that you give equal time to both views. Even if you disagree with one view, you should write one paragraph saying why you disagree. If you did this, you would have much higher band. So one thing which you could do better is provide specific examples. The more specific you can be with your examples, the more authority your points have. You can make your examples more specific by adding dates, maybe statistics, people's names, or place names. But be careful not to have too many ideas. Your ideas are relevant, but it is better to have fewer ideas and support these ideas with explanations and examples than simply list lots of ideas that are not fully developed. Examiners are looking for fully developed ideas, not lists of ideas. In terms of coherence and cohesion, and you know that this is like the second step which will be evaluated by the examiner, you logically organize information and ideas. There is a clear progression throughout. The structure that you have used really helps in this area and makes everything easy to follow and flows very nicely. However, it can be improved even more. So you use a range of cohesive elements, linking words appropriately, although there is some overuse, which I mentioned before, like don't overuse them, don't do it like, don't use them too many of them. All linking words are used accurately and effectively, but there tends to be a reliance on them through overuse. This is not a huge problem, but the higher band scores use cohesive devices much less than you currently do. Each paragraph presents a clear central topic, and this is really helped by topic sentence at the beginning of each paragraph. So our suggestion is try using this paragraph structure for the following discussion questions. And here we suggest the structure. So firstly, in introduction, there should be the first question, which should be like paraphrase the question, paraphrase what is mentioned in the statement. Then there should be some thesis statement concerning the topic, and outline statement. So outline what you will discuss in the rest of the essay. Then discussion of first side, main point, it's like the first sentence, the main point for this paragraph. Then the explanation of main point linked to your opinion and some specific example. Then the second paragraph, discussion of the second side. There should be again the main point, the first sentence, explanation of main point linked to your opinion, specific example, and of course there should be a conclusion. It's the summary of main ideas and opinion. Well, what else? As for vocabulary band, yeah, so this one which I would like to mention, it's the band which this essay got is band 6. You use an adequate range of vocabulary for the task, such as financial responsibilities, academic environment, scientific competitions. You attempt to use less common vocabulary, but with some inaccuracy, and you make some errors in word formation. But they do not impede communication. So please see corrections above for examples of this. We mentioned them, and our suggestions. It's you do try to use advanced vocabulary, but this often leads to small mistakes. Follow the 100% rule. So don't try to use any words you're not 100% sure about. It's better to use simple words and make no mistakes than use advanced words but in error. By 100%, I mean that you should be sure about spelling, grammar, collocation, synonyms, antonyms, and so on. In the long term, you should think about starting a vocabulary book. So this is a place where you record new vocabulary with spelling, grammar, collocation, synonyms, antonyms, and example sentences to make sure you know it 100%. So for example, you learn a word, then you make the translation for it. Maybe you can write some synonyms for this or antonyms, and then try to make your own sentence with this new expression or new word. This way you'll 100% will remember it. Finally, so synonyms are important, and you should try to use them, but only try to be more specific and try to be sure that you use them correctly. So if you know exactly what they mean, what this word means, otherwise there may be again some grammatical mistake. So if you're not sure, just repeat the words and try to paraphrase it. This is what I wanted to tell about the grammar. Then in terms of about vocabulary, sorry, and in terms of grammar, this essay which we have just seen, we have just checked, is tend to get band 5. So you attempt complex sentences, but these tend to be less accurate than simple sentences. You make frequent grammatical errors, and some errors can cause some difficulty for the reader. So you see all the grammatical errors just above. And our suggestions are to establish common grammar errors, only write sentences that you know, and there are lots of online activities you can do to practice and perfect your area you're weak in. And you also have to follow 100% rule for grammar. So you should only write sentences that you know are 100% correct. If there is any doubt, then you need to think about how you can express your point in a simpler way that has no mistakes. And it is better to write in a simple way and make no mistakes than to use a complex grammar and structures with frequent errors. So overall, this essay will get score 6, band score 6, and this actually, there are some things you can do to improve this essay in the future. And well, the main advice maybe which you might get here is to try and try to work on your vocabulary and your grammar, because these are your two biggest challenges. So the quick way to fixing this is to follow 100% rule I suggest above. And if you want to fix this long term, I would suggest the following, like read books, blogs, magazines about the common IELTS task 2 topics such as education, health, technology. Note down any new words in a vocabulary notebook as I suggested above, and then review this regularly. It will take you a little while, but soon your vocabulary will really expand. And the second point, find out what your common grammar mistakes are, because most people make the same grammar mistakes over and over again. And when you know what these are, you can review the grammar rules, practice online, and fix them. If you can improve the things above, I'm confident that you can increase your band score even higher, like to 6.5 or 7. And the main things you can do is to answer the question by doing what it asks you to do. So in this question, you have been asked to discuss both views and give your own opinion. You have really only discussed one of the views, so the student I mean, and you need to make it really clear to the examiner that you have discussed both views by having a separate paragraph for each. So there should be the paragraph of introduction, then the first paragraph is discussion of statement number 1, the second paragraph is discussion of statement number 2, and the last one is conclusion. Your coherence will also improve if you use the structure I suggested, and you should also check out the structures for other types of essay. So your cohesion is very good, but remember that you don't need to start every sentence with a linking word. 1 or 2 paragraphs is enough. 1 or 2 per paragraph is enough, I mean. And if you still hesitate and think whether to study English or not, I think that autumn is the right time for all students of all ages to start to dive into English. And this is what we advise you to do. So go to our Global School and enjoy working in a team. And we're waiting for you. So thank you very much for your attention and goodbye.